We got the fattest piers and the fattest harbor in the world. Everything moves in and out, we take our cut.
I want to know who killed my brother!
You got a real friend here. Don't forget it.
Yeah. Thanks, Johnny.
Listen to me. You stand up and I'll stand up with you.
What are you going around with his sister for? Just shut up.
I wanted to make a film about the waterfront, and I was working with Arthur Miller on a film about Red Hook, about the waterfront in Brooklyn. And for various reasons, pressures, political pressures, and one thing or another, that broke up. And I still was determined to do it. I thought it was exciting. I was reading about it all the time. I saw it all the time. I used to walk around a lot then. I'm part of the city, so to say. You know, I'm not living in California. I'm living in New York City, and that's different. And just like the taxi strike, I was in the taxi strike and so forth. I mean, all those things were real to me because I lived in them. Anyway, I said to Bud Schulberg, I said, that thing just broke up. He said, I've been working on a story about the waterfront for a long time. And he had these articles by Johnson and so forth, and he let me read the script, and I thought the script could be helped, and we worked on the script together. We'd also met a fellow in Hoboken, in whose house we had dinner several times. His name was Tony Mike, and he went through the exact same experience. So I got to know him, and he would tell me about what he went through and what he felt, and the scorn thrown at him. And I'd had a good deal of scorn thrown at me in those years, so I was hefty. I could take it, and he too, but he was tough. He was ready to fight all the time, and that helped me a lot, seeing this man that went through the whole damn thing that On the Waterfront was about, and it was in a fury about it. So it was a great experience all along. I used to hang out in Hoboken, but not like Bud did. Bud was there all the time. Bud lived there. I mean, it was a great, great writing experience for me to watch him put that film together. Bud was great. He never stopped work. He never stopped work. And I said to him, this is just the thing for Zanuck. This is right down Zanuck's line. He loves violent stories about big cities and so forth. And I showed it to Zanuck, and he said, make some suggestions, and he did. And then one day he called us into his office and said, I'm not going to do this. I don't like it. And in came a terrible, terrible guy that I'm not very fond of now, named Sam Spiegel. And he was down on his uppers. He was broke. He had trouble. He needed something that paid him producer expenses and so forth. But he also needed something to do. And Bud came into my office. We were also in the same hotel. Fox was still paying our expenses. And Bud said, he's going to do it. I said, no, you're kidding. He said, no, he's going to do it. He means it. So then we spoke to Sam and said, I want to do it right away. He said, let's go to New York. So we went to New York. Well, Sam drove Schulberg crazy. And he said, let's open it up again. Let's open it again. Let's re-examine it. Let's see if we've got it right. And he worked on that script, thinning it down and tightening it up. And Bud was great. He never stopped. And between them, they worked like hell. And I think, although they had a lot of antagonisms, I tell the thing in my book, but I'll tell it again too. One night, Bud was living in the country in Pennsylvania, and one night his wife woke up about 3:30 in the morning and looked in the bathroom, and Bud was shaving. And she said, Bud, what the hell are you shaving for at 3:30 in the morning? He said, I'm going to New York. She said, what are you going to New York for? I said, I'm going to New York to kill Sam Spiegel. He was that mad at him, you know. He did go to New York, but he never killed Sam Spiegel. Sam Spiegel was a very tough guy. Tough because, I guess, of his experience in Europe, because he just escaped with his life, I imagine. And he kept at it, and Bud kept at it. And then we were lucky enough to get Marlon in it. And so we made a film that is, from the point of view of a screenplay, I think perfect. It's a wonderful screenplay with a wonderful actor, and it worked out well. Also, by then, I was trained to work with people on location, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the longshoremen. We had longshoremen extras. I liked them a lot. And I used to have a bodyguard, but only once was it necessary. One fellow was going to punch me out. But my bodyguard came up and pushed him against the wall, and that was settled. It was a great experience for me because I was on my feet all the time in the city, and I think from that point of view, it's as close as I ever came to making a film exactly the way I want. It was a cold winter, and we were shooting it in the winter. And as we went along, it was more and more into the winter, more and more cold and rain, and we never stopped shooting. And we had these great barrels there, and people would break down boxes, and the longshoremen throw them in the thing. We had hot boxes all the time. And Brando, sometimes I had to go into a hotel. I find what it's called, a Majestic Hotel, some phony name. I had to go in and drag him out because it was too cold out there. And he's not very hardy in some ways. And also the cold, healthy actors' faces. They looked a certain way. They were sunk in here. They didn't have this lovely flesh of success that leading men and act in Hollywood have. The dimpled, pink, beautiful complexion. They were miserable-looking human beings, and that includes Brando. And Eva Saint was perfect, just a thin, little, seemingly undernourished Catholic girl, over-proper Catholic girl. It really was terrific cast. But when I think back on it, it was Bud's persistence and Spiegel's insistence that helped make that movie, and what Brando contributed to it. Just externally, he's very gritty. I mean, he liked the streets. He liked those people. He liked the longshoremen. He used to lay around on the roof and talk to them. But that wasn't it. The thing is that in Brando, there's an ambivalent side, and the ambivalence consists of a toughness, an exterior toughness, and a tremendous desire for gentleness and tenderness. And the best scenes in the movie, from my point of view, are the love scenes with Eva Saint, where he's asking her to understand him, where they're sitting in a cafe. He's great in those scenes. Why? Because he's a tough guy revealing a side to himself that you did not expect. And the side to himself that you did not expect, that exists in the audience because they recognize it, was some sort of tenderness and some sort of, people wanted to reach out for him to help him. And at the same time, he was a son of a bitch and a bad person and a betrayer. Still, you wanted to help him. And she did too, and that came off, you know, that part of it came off. He has that ambivalence in him. I was lucky I had him. It worked out well because he's both hardy and indifferent, at the same time wants you to love him very much.
Edie, I'd like to help. I'd like to help, but there's nothing I can do.
All right. I shouldn't have asked you.
When he plays those scenes with her, I'm broken up. I break up. That one person should need so much from another person in the way of tenderness and all that. Well, we all do, don't we? We all marry or hopefully hook up with some lady that's going to make us feel we're okay and we're better and all that. And we search for it and want it and crave it and all that. And sometimes it happens. And sometimes it happens for a while. And something in that basic story, I think, is what stirs people, not the social, political thing so much as the human element in it.
You should have taken care of me just a little bit so I wouldn't have to take them dives for the short-end money.
Well, I had some bets down for you. You saw some money.
You don't understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender. I could have been somebody.
What can I say about that scene? Everybody's seen it so often, there's nothing I can say. It's played all the time. I'll say this, that I think the two actors made it. I didn't do any directing with it. I mean, believe it, it's true. I mean, I'm not a falsely modest man, but we had a very bad thing from Spiegel. He didn't get us a set. We only had a shell of a taxi cab. We had a good cameraman, he solved that, but we came there and at 11 o'clock in the morning. We were very discouraged. So I just put the two actors in the back seat, and he flicked some lights on, and we had a little sound effect. And then they acted the scene, and they knew the characters by then. They liked each other, Rod and Marlon, and the scene just rolled off without, I mean, it sounds falsely modest, but it's not. I didn't really direct the scene. They did it. They made the scene, those two men. And it's a big lesson, you know, if you get to a certain point with actors, they know what the hell they're doing, and the script is right, the scene is right. How are you going to beat? I was I could have been a contender. You can't beat that line. It is a wonderful line. That's Bud's line. And Bud wrote the scene beautifully. I don't understand how people caught on the waterfront that fast, because it didn't have a lot of publicity at the beginning. And I went down the morning it opened, and there were 100 people in line. I don't know who the hell was in line. They may have been the hoodlums that heard about it out in Hoboken. But I don't know. There they were. And it was just an enormous success immediately. And I'm not sure it was because of what the papers wrote about it. There's something they sensed in it, something of the drama of the ordinary man who has feelings of guilt, who's searching for redemption. Isn't that a big word in the Catholic religion? In all our religions, redemption, redemption. The film, in a way, is about redemption, about a dumb, innocent kid who's done terrible things and wants to be redeemed. And the girl redeems him. Well, it's basic, isn't it?